the individual that says, I should be captain, and the individual that says, I want to be captain. Generally, the individual who says, I should be captain is that person that you're talking about. The person that just wants something on their resume. They, in a sense, feel that they're better than everyone else. And I think that's the dangerous person that I don't ever want as a captain of my team. The person I want as a captain of my team is the person that says, I want to be the captain of the team, and they have good reasons for that. And typically I've found those reasons are things like, I know I can help the other players on the ice, and I can help them off the ice. I really love and I care about this team. They make it about everything other than themselves. That's what a good captain does. An individual that makes it about themselves is not going to be a good captain. They're just going to have something to stick on their resume, and a parent can brag that, well, my son or my daughter, they're captain of the team.
Well, you use the term captain. I'd like to jump into the adult world, the business world, and a position of authority or leadership. And the disconnect in that, in the corporate world, the everyday working world, in terms of the same kind of problem we're talking about. The leadership is, from my understanding, billions of dollars are being spent on leadership development in the corporate world. And that, to me, is the idea of being of service, a servant to those around you, is sort of a prime example. And I'm just curious about that in your working life, your day-to-day working life, whether it's at a university or a company or people you know that are in leadership positions. How do you equate that with coaching and your experiences?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. When early on, when I was starting at the university, we had this speaker come in, and this was all everyone that was faculty, support staff. They were all in this large. We actually did it in the cafeteria because it was a large space, and they brought in an individual, and he spoke about this idea of tribe, right? Which you probably heard of that, right? It goes back to when there were tribes, and you had your leaders, and everyone had a position, but everything was done for the good of the tribe. And he went on and on about this, and then they took a break, and I went up to the president of the university and I said, I'm listening to this, and all I'm really hearing is this individual describing what a good team is in athletics, right? That's what you're talking about, what a good team is, right? You have your leader, you have your assistant coaches, you have your captains, your assistant captains. Yeah, everybody has a role on a team. They all know what that is. So he says, that's really interesting. So I sit back down, and everybody settled in there. And so this is a room about 300, 400 people, right? And I sit back down, and he says, I was just talking to Coach Whitney, and he made a good point about leadership and what we're talking about here today. Could you share that with everyone? No, hey, you know what? I'm going to ask you to say something, right? Just completely put me on the spot. But I was really so comfortable and felt good about talking about what I knew was correct. I put all that information out there. And at the end of the day, he and the other people agreed that, that's what we were talking about. And we're a school with 21 athletic teams. So we really had all the tools for leadership. However, they had a division that was online schooling as well. where apparently that was fairly dictatorial at some point, I guess, from what I hear. So the two didn't work. And over time, after these meetings and that, and this is something that's incredibly important when you're thinking about all this, is the one detriment to any leadership position or effectiveness is ego. I've never worked for anyone or respected anyone that had an ego that was bigger than the group. I noticed that no one would really follow that individual. They might listen to what they say, and kind of, do the head nod kind of thing. But when they left, they'd be like, boy, this individual is just so full of themselves that we can't get on board with them. We can't imagine them being someone who would have our back. And at the end of the day, someone who have your back is looking out for you. That's what a good leader is. I mean, you need to find ways to be effective within that. But the first step is getting people to follow you, because you're gonna have the best plans and best ideas in the world. But if you can't find a way for someone to follow your leadership and believe in your ability to lead, you're really not going to get anywhere. So that's, I think, in the corporate world, I think that's, to me, I've had that true life experience where I've seen that.